Today I'm going to attempt to replace the motor mount on this Mini Cooper. I don't know if you can see this on the video, but it's a hydraulic motor mount, and the hydraulic fluid leaked. It looks like it leaked from the bottom. I won't know exactly where it's leaking from once I take this off, but it looks like it's, you could see where the fluid came down, and it's all over the frame there. But so anyhow, I'm going to attempt to do this today. I'm going to try and do my best to go ahead and document this procedure and hope to catch her every step by step. Looks like there's not a whole lot to it. Looks like we have a couple of bolts in the back for the mount bracket itself, and then a couple of bolts on the front. Let's see, one here and another one here, and then there's this bolt on the mount itself also. So I'm going to start going ahead and taking off this I'm going to go ahead and take off this fender cover here, so I can get access. I think what the main problem is going to be to take the bottom bolt off the frame here. That seems like that's the most difficult part to get to, but that's why I'm going to go ahead and take this cover off. And it looks like I'll go ahead and point out the covers, but right now I have it on stands. I'm going to go ahead and take it off the stand so I'm going to actually go ahead and turn the wheels so I can get to some of those screws on the covers, and I'll document step by step. So see you, be back soon. Okay, so let's see, I took screw off here, 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 and there's one under here. You probably just look for it here in order to be able to take this cover off. Took, let's see, where's that? Yeah, that. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull this cover off here. Okay. So I'm going to turn the video off for a minute. Basically, you see kind of what I'm doing here. So there was just one more. So prior to removing this, I had to remove one more that was hidden under here. So there's one more screw for this cover underneath the right next to the jack there. So make sure and take that one off too. Okay, I'm back. So I got easy access to the motor mount now. Turn the wheel all the way to the right after pulling off the cover. And then another thing you're going to need is this E12 socket. Okay, it's a E-type socket that fits under here, that bottom screw for taking that bottom bolt off. So I'm going to go ahead and attempt to do that now. I'm going to pause the video for a second and loosen that up, and then I'm going to just try to loosen up the bolts before I support the engine, and then go ahead and start removing them. But I'm going to pause the video for now. So I did manage to break that fitting loose under here, and let me show you what I did. So I got that. It's a number 12. It's a number 12. It's an E12 socket. Managed to get it under here, and then had to use a little extension actually to break it free. It was on there pretty tight. Here, give me a second and I'll show you guys what I did actually. Because it's a tight fit, I couldn't get my breaker bar in there. So here's what I did. I just put a wrench in the end of my ratchet, and I was able to break it free this way. Not much room in there, but it actually worked out pretty good. So it's loose now. Okay, hope you guys can see this with the sun. I'm going to go ahead and loosen this up, make sure. Yep, that one's nice and loose, no problem. Now I need to get Let's see, there's a couple more down here, so I'm going to go ahead and get my extension and loosen those two up there. Alright, let me put my tools together here. I got my half-inch breaker bar, and then my half-inch to 3/8 drive adapter, then my extension, and then onto a 16 millimeter to loosen up these two bolts. Okay, that one broke free pretty easy. This one broke free fairly easy as well, so now those two are loose. And let me move over this way a little bit. I'm gonna have two more bolts over here. Ah, that one came loose pretty easy. And one more. Let's see, got that one. And okay, loose. Everything from here on should work out fairly easy. Now I just have to go ahead and support the, I'm gonna get my jack and support the engine. Okay, so here's what I'm going to use to support the engine. Basically, it's just my little jack. I try to use my heavy-duty jack, but that one was a little too big. I couldn't get it under the car. I guess I could have jacked it up if I needed to. But I'm just going to use my jack. Put a 2x4 on there to distribute the load a little bit, and then raise it up just enough to release the so that there's no force on the bracket. And I'll show you here in a minute once that's set up. Here's the I don't know if you can see it with the glare, but there's the you can see the 2x4 set up. Let me see if I can get a better angle over here. Basically, go down here. You can see there's the 2x4 support of the engine and the jack. Try to get that in the middle. Support the weight. The engine while I take the bracket out. So I'm gonna go ahead and start removing the bracket. Okay. These bolts should be loose. Oh, that one's a little tight still. Yeah. Could use my ratchet at this point, but I don't think it's going to be necessary. Okay, got that out. Almost. Okay, and I like to lay the bolts down in order in which I remove, or how they were removed, so I don't get them mixed up. I put them in the exact same spot. So I'm going to take another one off over here on this side. And okay, that one is almost out. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Come on, just a few more threads. Okay. Let's see. Set this down for a second. And they're quite long. There's a couple of, just be careful, a couple of, there's a wiring harness on the way, but set that one down, and just looking at the bolts, it looks like they're about the same size, so even if you were to mix them up, it shouldn't be a problem. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly loosen this up. Oh, it's actually already loose. I wanted to see what happens to the engine if I loosen this up even more. But it looks okay. It's not even moving. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen this one up a little more. See if I get some movement, if I have that motor picked up to the right spot. And it seems to be okay. Doesn't seem to be moving much. Like it would be safe for me to go ahead and remove this, and the motor shouldn't move on me too much. Let me see if there's any tension on it. If I can turn it with my hand, and I don't feel the force. should mean that the engine is got enough counterweight on the bottom to level it off. And loosen this one up a little bit. Oh, seems to be a little bit of force on that. Let's see. Does this move much? No. Seems to be okay. I'm a little worried about this one. Let me mess with this jack a little bit. I may have it up just a little bit too high, but let me see what happens here. Okay, it's starting to come out fairly easy now. And I'm going to pause the video for a second so I don't bore you guys while I'm removing these bolts, and I'll come right back. Almost forgot to loosen this one up too. So everything's pretty much off, and the motor seems to be stable. So I'm going to go ahead and start pulling parts. And my battery's going dead, so let me go charge up my camera, and I'll be back. Alright, so here we go. Everything's out. You can see though there's just a big mess in there on that part of the frame, so I'm going to go ahead and try and clean that up. I have something, there's all my bolts all nice and neat over here in the order where they belong, so I don't get them mixed up. But let's see if we can clean that mess up, because I know when it heats up it might generate an odor inside the vehicle or something. So let me see if I can do something to clean that up. Okay, so I'm back. Gave this stuff a go here. This stuff here, the goo gone, and actually worked pretty good. It's not perfect, but got a lot of it off. So much cleaner. I'm going to go ahead and start prepping for reinstallation and see how that goes. Okay, I've been struggling with my battery juice here, so I'll probably be chiming on and off. It's still not fully charged, but I'm going to go ahead and do the installation. There's my part, and went on there pretty easy. I'm going to start by putting in the that Torx bolt underneath. Alright, new motor mount installed. Got the Torx bolt in underneath. Installed my 16mm bolt that holds it in place. Now I'm going to go ahead and install the mounting bracket for the motor mount onto the motor again. Okay, so you can see the bracket's installed. Not perfectly aligned at this point, so I'm going to have to probably use my breaker bar to kind of help align things a little bit. But it's pretty close. But I'm going to go ahead and tighten up. I'm going to pause the video because once again, running low on juice. So, but once I get it on there, if I run into any snags, I'll let you guys know what happened. I'm going to pause it for right now. So the only thing I had to do, I did put my breaker bar in there, and I had to kind of pry the engine back a little bit. I think my jack was kind of dropped on me a little bit. So once I push back on this, everything aligned up perfectly, and I've got two bolts on already, one on the back side and one on the front side here, and they both seem to be going in pretty smooth, getting everything lined up. If it's not going in smooth, definitely stop, get everything aligned again, and start over. But so far everything's working okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause once again. So one thing I forgot to do was there's a little bracket here for a sensor. I forgot to put that bracket on the bolt there, but so I went ahead and installed the one on the other side once I had everything aligned. So everything stayed aligned. Went ahead and took the bolt off again on this side for this bracket here for the sensor, and I went ahead and started tightening everything back up again, and everything pretty much stayed aligned. So I'm going to turn the video off again and install all the bolts, Make sure everything's nice and snug. I'm going to get my torque wrench out. I got to look up the torque spec, I'm not sure what that is. But, and then finish off tightening these bolts. And I'll come back on. So, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, all done. Got my two 16 millimeter bolts on here. Two 16 millimeter bolts here. This is an 18 millimeter bolt, and my 16 millimeter bolt for the motor mount itself. Gonna start putting on the cover here. I had to buy a couple of clips just to reinstall the clips so that thing isn't falling off later. You see a lot of cars running around with their covers falling off. So I mean, for the cost of a few new clips, I think it's worthwhile to go out and grab a couple new ones to install that cover on there properly. Anyway, I'll sign back on here shortly. Okay, for the next step, now that everything's installed, I'm going to go ahead and remove the jack. Okay, here's the cover, going back in. I have to straighten out the wheel first. Okay, you may want to consider buying some of these clips. $1.36, $1.36 each to go ahead and fasten the wheel cover back on. So it's worthwhile for the cost. Okay, there it is. It's back on. I'm going to point all the screws that you have to take off. There's one there underneath the vehicle, and there's another one there. It's two. There's another one there. Three, four. Another one there. Five. There's one up here. 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's one underneath the here, 9. So 9 in all. 9 in all. We'll remove this cover here. So highly suggested to make the job a lot easier. Okay. Okay. So the only thing left on this Mini was got some hydraulic fluid on the wheel here. Needs to be cleaned off. I try that goop cleaner I used inside the engine. That might work. I just don't want to do it on this because I don't know what it'll do to the wheel surface. So I'll let the owner take care of that. Other than that, that's it. New hydraulic motor mount is installed and should be ready to go. That's simple. This job probably can be done in a couple hours. Like I said, I would take this cover off. That makes the job a